Hello everyone. Today we're going to be looking at reflections over the X and Y axis. Our goal today is if we can create and identify reflections across the X and Y axis. So a reflection, it can be seen in a lot of places. We can see it in water, we can see it in a mirror, in glass, or in a shiny surface. So an object is reflected and its reflection have the same shape, same size, but the figures face in opposite directions. So in a mirror, for example, right and left are switched. Okay, so we can see in this picture here, these two things are exactly the same shape and size, but the orientation is kind of flipped over because it has been reflected. And that's what a reflection is going to look like. So 3 types of reflections that we'll be looking at in this class. We'll be doing reflection across the X and Y axis, which is what we'll do today. The other 2 that you see here across lines y is equal to x and negative x, and other horizontal and vertical lines, we will do that tomorrow. So that's what we'll be looking at with reflections. So today we're going to look at reflections over the X and Y axis. So you need to write this down, okay? So this is our rule for reflecting across the X axis and the Y axis. So if I want to reflect something across the X axis, all I'm going to do is change the sign of Y, and you'll see that in a minute, all right? And then if I want to reflect over the Y axis, all I'm going to do is change the value of X, and my Y value is going to stay the same. So let's take a look at some examples of this. So if I want to reflect this thing across the X axis, all right? So the X axis is right here. Okay, so if I have originally I have point E is, that is negative 3, 1. Okay, my reflection, if I flip it over the x-axis, it's going to go down here. And we're going to call that E prime. Okay, so E prime is actually at negative 3, negative 1. Okay, and as you see here, if we reflect over the x-axis, we're going to change the value of y. All right, so next I'm going to do F. All right, F is originally at negative 2, 0. Okay, F prime is also going to be negative 2, 0 because it's on the x-axis. So that's also going to be F prime. All right, if D is originally, was that negative 4, negative 3, then D prime is going to be negative 4, positive 3. So D prime is going to go up here, and then G is originally at negative 2, negative 5. Okay, so G prime is going to be negative 2, positive 5. So G prime is there. Okay, and you always want to label these things with the apostrophe there. So that is our figure after it's been reflected over the x-axis. Okay, here's another example. We're going to reflect over the y-axis, okay? And we could actually do these just by looking at the axis. So notice that F is 1 unit away on this side. F prime is going to be 1 unit away on that side. So F prime will go here, okay? E prime, if I reflect it over, it's going to go over here. And D prime, it's going to be right here. So this creates my reflection. Okay, so, and that's basically it. Now I could list out the coordinates. My original at E at negative 3, positive 4, F at negative 1, 3, and D at negative 3, 1. And then to reflect over the y-axis, we just change the x's. So E prime is at 3, 4, as we see. F prime is at 1, 3, as we see in the picture, and D prime is at 3, 1. Okay, so there is our reflection across the y-axis. Okay, so here's another example. It says write a rule to describe each transformation. All right, so we see that this right here is our this right here is our original, and this is our reflection. Okay, so this thing is being reflected over the y-axis. So in words, I can write it like this. We can say it's a reflection over the y-axis. Okay, in coordinate notation, we would say that x, y is being reflected. So what happens is our x changes. So it becomes negative x, y. And that is our rule here. All right, here's another one. We see that this one is being reflected over the x-axis. So in words, we're going to say it, this is a reflection over the x-axis. So in words, we're going to say that x, y, okay, and what we're doing here is we're swapping the sign of y. So it becomes x negative y. So that would be our rule. Okay, and then we should also be able to take coordinates without the graph and just reflect them across the x-axis. So if I wanted to reflect these across the x-axis, remember, you're just going to change the sign of y. All right, so S prime is going to be 1, 5, okay? R prime is going to be at 3, 2. Q prime will be at 5, 2, and P prime will be at 2, 5. Okay, so that is our reflection across the x-axis. All we had to do is change the sign of the y values. Okay, so sometimes if we're given something like this and we want to describe the transformation, so this is kind of, the letters are kind of mixed up on us here, but we can describe the transformation. And what we notice here, going from y to y prime, what's happening? Our x is going from -3 to +3, okay? And let's make sure that's consistent. Okay, x and x prime, the x value goes from -4 to +4. W to W prime, x is -1 to +3, the y stays the same. And then V to V prime, the x changes and the y stays the same. Okay, so if just the x changes, this is a reflection over the y-axis. And you could always draw a picture of this, and it'd be really easy to see that this is being reflected over the y-axis. All right, so that's in words, and then coordinate notation, we would say x, y, and what we are doing is we are flipping our x value, and y is always staying the same, okay? So those are reflections over the x and y axis. Please let me know if you have any questions on this, and please go look at Canvas and find the assignment for today. And have a great day.